Hey everybody, I'm Sierra,
And I'm Ben.
and welcome back to another episode of The Unsolved Couple, where every week Ben and I recap one of the original gateway drugs into true crime.
Unsolved mysteries.
Hey honey,
Hey, Ben.
we're recording.
We're in it.
We're in it. And it's mother effing hot. I've entered Sierra's grumpy.
Yes. This is Sierra summer mode. She's angry
Arizona
about the weather
summer
at all
mode.
times.
Let's be clear. Arizona summer is a different beast. True?
Yeah, I'm sure people in the South would have something to argue on that.
But in the South, they have rivers and lakes and oceans.
We got a pool.
It's so hot here.
It is very hot. June is always a hot month.
It's so hot. And I'm just a weird duck where if you asked me, do you want hot summer or do you want cozy fall? I'm gonna pick cozy fall.
Here's the thing.
We always want what we can't have. Is that what you're saying?
Let's just acknowledge and admit. I was talking to a new guy at work the other day, and you have to acknowledge it. We're prima donnas, okay? We don't want too hot, and we don't want snow.
I want it 75 and sunny in the summertime, and I want it 62 and foggy.
But still sunny during the middle of the day.
Maybe.
You want it foggy in the morning.
I want it foggy and cloudy, except for maybe a couple days where you get like one of those fall crisp days where you're like, oh, the sky's blue today. And then tomorrow it can go back to being gray.
You want the perfect weather.
Yeah. Is that so much to ask?
It is a lot because there's no place has it.
Can
Maybe
you
San
imagine
Diego.
life without air conditioning?
No.
So do you remember last summer when it was like a heat wave over? I'm going to call out all of our England listeners. Like, I think it was like Greece, London, all of those places over there. Their buildings are so old that majority of places, even like big companies and businesses, don't have air conditioning. Restaurants, all of that stuff. They also don't believe in ice water. So what does that say about our friends across the pond? But for them, for their hot summers, it was like in the 90s. But they have no air conditioning anywhere. So people were miserable.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
I grew up with no AC.
So did I. I will say, yeah, in Oregon, it's just not as necessary.
No, they don't.
You get a couple of weeks in the summertime that it's over 90.
Yeah.
Maybe a month and a half at the most.
I remember one summer it got really hot. It was in the triple digits there, to the point we had an upstairs and a downstairs. I think the upstairs, my parents' room was up there, and then there was another small room.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, mattresses, we slept with the door wide open because we just had the screen door. Every window was open, and the fact that you could not close it up because you didn't want to close up the house.
Yeah.
But it was miserable for a week.
Yeah, I'm going to call my parents out because we slept in the upstairs and it was so hot sometimes in the summertime. And it was like, well, open your window. Okay, well, it's still 80 degrees outside. It's not going to do anything. Or go sleep on the trampoline. That was the other one.
I did do that a lot in the
mother keeps the house at air conditioning in the summertime at like 62 degrees. We're all freezing there.
I think she keeps it in the upper 60s. It is wild where she keeps it.
But I grew up my whole life living with this woman who refused to buy a window air conditioning unit or anything because we just needed to get through those 4 weeks. And now is inconvenienced if it is more than 72 degrees in her house.
It was that week growing up, that week where we were so hot. We had nothing, that my mom said to my dad, you are buying a window air conditioning unit. So we had it at least in the living room. So whenever it got hot, we all slept in the living room.
Down like
It doesn't do a great, but it's
But
something.
fair what, Ben, when I was pregnant with the twins, we had an apartment in a Renco station, which was one of the nicest up and coming places.
No place has AC
and
in
it
Oregon.
did not have air conditioning.
Yeah, we had a window unit.
We had a window unit.
Yeah. All right. Enough weather talk.
Hi, we're millennials and we like to talk about the weather because we're over 40 now.
I hate weather conversations.
I know you do.
Longer than 20 seconds.
When everyone wants to know why I'm in a grumpy mood for the next several weeks, it's because I'm just constantly hot.
This is why I'm
sweaty, I'm hot, I'm either starving or I have no appetite. My ice water's not cold enough. Like everything's just inconvenient. That's why. But I am excited about this episode. This is one I've been looking forward to for a while. I've been researching it for probably a week and a half now. So let's get into it. You're going to start us off today.
Sure am. Hold on. When we get open, I got to get to my notes.
I know. You're such an old person. He's got to get his notes.
I do.
While he's doing that, I'll do I've got a couple of housekeeping reminders for everybody that I will sprinkle in throughout our episode. But one of the big ones right now is that we have Ben's Halloween costume contest going on right now. We have set some goals to hit some downloads before.
Can I change the numbers?
Nope. It's too late.
We need to raise
the numbers.
Let's raise it.
And so if you guys there's several tiers. We hit several goals of downloads. I've got it on our social medias. The ultimate goal, which is almost, in my opinion, unachievable to hit, but you never know. People can surprise us, is that I will get to finally dress up as the Goblin King ball scene from Labyrinth. And then I'll have to wear gray spandex tights and wear makeup. And if we get to that level, I'm going to get a photo shoot done. And it's going to be our cover art for
be like an 80s photo shoot, glamour shots.
Yes, we should go to the mall and get it done.
I don't think the mall has that anymore.
Probably not. So that's going on right now. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but check out our social media. And the best thing you can do for that is to just download our episodes. Make sure you're following us wherever you get your podcast. Share us with a friend. And the other way you can add numbers to that is for every 5-star review that you do, if you put in there the costume that you would like to see Ben in, we're going to add that as a download number. You can't
fudge the numbers try to get it.
The more reviews we get, that's how Apple pushes us out and recommends us to other people. So it's another way to grow our podcast. So yeah, if you leave a review and you put in there some sort of thing about specifically the Halloween costume contest or what you want to see Ben dressed up as, I will add that to our numbers.
You're trying to cook the books.
No, I would never.
You are trying to cook the books.
Okay. Do you have your journal entry open yet? Your book?
I do.
If someone ever was to find this book,
it would be super confusing.
They're going to think you're a psychopath.
Well,
you're going to look like a murderer.
If someone ever found this book and went through it, I would look like
you've scammed people, that you're stalking people.
I stalk people. Very old people because everything is from the 80s. I write the dates in here and they would be concerned that I'm a little too concerned about people in the 80s. And then, whatever it is. I don't know. I would actually be interested.
That would be interesting. Okay.
There would be a TikTok video of someone reading this.
For sure.
This journal, All right. This is another lost love story. Are you ready for that?
Mm-hmm.
I just want this. It is clear. I think I've already said this. Facebook really needed to be made way earlier than it did. And
Mark Zuckerberg really shot all of us in the foot by not coming up with this idea sooner.
Well, he was very young. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg watched Unsolved Mysteries, saw all these lost loves, and said, I need a way to solve this problem.
There's got to be a better way.
There's got to be a better way. All right. This is the story of Jim Bukowski from Grand Junction, Colorado.
Jim Bukowski.
Nope. Not that one.
Mike Wazowski.
Nope, definitely not. All right. And we hear that he was injured in 1968 in the Vietnam War, actually lost his leg. And he's looking for the nurse that cared for him after he had lost his leg. The nurse's name is Linda Sharp. And he just goes on to tell us that Linda was a big help in his healing process because she helped him want to live and be able to go home, because this guy had a pretty rough go in Vietnam, which I think a lot of people did.
Most men did, yeah, and women that were involved on the front lines with this.
So he was drafted in 1967.
Also, that sucks too, right? He didn't want to do this.
Yeah, I mean,
right? I mean, being drafted from you.
A lot of people.
A lot of people were drafted. Yeah. So that already, your choice is gone.
It's tough. It's definitely tough. But he was drafted in 1967. At the time, he was dating his wife, Dolores, and they had actually been dating for 5 years. Which, I mean, he was 19, so they were dating since
they were high school sweethearts.
Yeah, since teenagers. You know, he'd actually already asked her to marry him twice.
That was a little uncomfortable of a fact to hear.
But he asked her again before he was going to get shipped out. He didn't
just ask her once.
Well, this was his third time asking her. And she said
I'm
yes.
Leaving for war. Will you marry me?
Will you marry me? She said yes, and they were married a week before he was shipped out. Within 3 months of getting to Vietnam, he'd already been wounded twice.
Yeah.
And then he talks about on August 29th, 1968, his company was ambushed. He said it was like 60 of them against 200 to 300 North Vietnamese, and his leg was blown off. He tells the story doesn't really.
He doesn't go into a lot of detail. It just kind of
It is very clear that Jim has a hard time talking about his Vietnam. He just literally tells that he doesn't even know what happened. He just felt his body flying through the air, sees his leg, picks up his own leg, and climbs back to the top of the mountain.
That's insane.
Yeah. And that's literally all he tells us about the story. So somehow he survives.
He's the only survivor, right? Didn't he say something because he gets a Purple Heart for this later, doesn't he?
Well, if you're ever wounded, from my understanding,
I thought it was if you.
I'm not prior military, so I don't want to speak. But if you are wounded, no matter what, most guys receive the Purple Heart. But he kind of says there wasn't. I don't know if because he doesn't really talk about it. I don't know if he was the only one, or I don't think
not a lot of them survived this attack. Yeah.
Yeah, this attack. So somehow he's able to be rescued. He doesn't talk about that. We have no idea, but he is able to be rescued, and he's flown to a hospital. He says his first memory from waking up from this is this nurse, Linda Sharp, leaning over him, taking care of him, giving him words of encouragement, and trying to help him. So he says one of the big issues that he had, besides his leg being blown off, is he had a very high temperature. His temperature was like running 105. So they were constantly trying to make sure no one
jerk for complaining about not having air conditioning.
Yeah,
this guy, because they're like in the jungle.
Yeah.
Sweltering, humid, hot heat, and you're running a fever of 105.
That's probably due to infections. And all that. I mean, so he says, like, what they're doing, they're putting him in cold baths, just trying to get his body temperature down. Because until his body temperature gets down, he can't be transported to a better hospital. Obviously, they're out there in the battlefield, whatever. But
they're like in a med tent.
They need to get him back to the States and that to actually be cared for properly. Not properly, but with better facilities.
Well, to be able to have access to everything.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's like me saying they weren't caring. They were, obviously.
But they have limited resources.
Yeah, exactly. She tells him she's there with him at all times, trying to help him, trying to care for him. She even says to him, "Hey, listen, we got to get your body temperature down." She says to him, "If we can get your temp down, I'll take you outside, and we'll have a beer." She's just trying to give him things to look forward to and encouragement. He says he'd been there for 6 days. Finally had gotten his body temperature down. He said one night he's laying in bed and she comes up and is like, all right, Jim, let's go. She rolls his gurney outside, pulls out a couple beers, and they have some beers. So, and talk. And she also tells him that for him to be able to go home to get on in transport, he has to write a letter to his wife and his family telling him what had happened. And she kind of helped him write that letter to his wife. She actually even wrote a wife. Wrote a wife? Right.
She wrote a wife into existence.
She wrote a letter to his wife to kind of let Jim's wife know, hey, listen, it's going to be tough. He's lost a limb, but he just needs encouragement, help.
He doesn't need pity.
Yeah.
He doesn't need you to treat him differently. He needs you to just try to keep his life as normal as possible. Yeah.
So September 5th, 1968, Jim heads home. He gets back to as close to his home as possible in Colorado. They don't say exactly where he went. Was able to get healed up, and he went home. But went on to go live his life. Him and his wife had several kids, and he's lived a pretty good life. But Jim now is wanting to get in touch with that nurse who he definitely puts a lot of...
Robert Stax comes back onto the television at one point and introduces us to what we now know as PTSD. But at the time, even Robert in the 80s is like, hey, this is kind of a new understanding of the mental capacity, the mental toll that this takes on men and women. Yeah. And he's kind of sharing his journey a little bit too while looking for this nurse of his healing through understanding, embracing, and trying to work through his now diagnosed PTSD.
Yeah, even his wife talks about that. Jim did not want to talk about Vietnam, or he actually didn't even like to tell people he'd lost his leg in Vietnam.
Nope.
He just wanted people to assume he'd lost it in a car accident. He did not want to talk about it, and he never did until he had started getting diagnosed with this and started getting help. Mm-hmm. And this is definitely part of, he even said, like, this is part of his healing process, was to find this lady who he believes and truly holds in some place that had helped him really survive. I mean, clearly.
Yeah.
So, and just to thank her. So, all right. That's where Unsolved Mysteries leads us. Ready for your update?
Update.
Instantly. I guess they said she contacted them before the show had even aired because they did a promo or a commercial.
All right, children, here's what a promo is. Back in the old days with Jerry.
I don't think children are listening to us. Everyone that listens is
anyone under the age of 35. A promo was a commercial about a show of an upcoming series that you watched, giving you little, gold nuggets of what the show was going to entail.
So she sees it, calls right away, and within 2 weeks, they're reunited.
Yeah, they're reunited, like, I think even before, or before it airs. Like, they are,
So they, Unsolved Mysteries was there. They filmed it. It was great. And Jim got to say thank you. And seemed good.
And they stayed in contact until he passed away.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I did see Jim passed away 9 years after they had reunited. They reunited in 1990, and he passed away in 1999. I couldn't find out.
I know. I tried to see if there was any cause of death listed, just in case. But it didn't
seem. I think I read something. He was in the hospital and passed away. So something, but not really. Maybe not none of my business, but So he did. He was able to do it. There you go.
Awesome.
There's your story.
There it is. All right. Before I tell you about a sweet old lady, I recommend. We have some new cities that we've been downloaded in. And guys, I'm going to be honest. I did my homework on some of these names, but that was 25 minutes ago, and now I can't remember what they were. So I'm excited. You might hear Google translation in the background. So, Germany. That can't be right. Do you think it's right, babe?
Do you know what you sounded like right
My computer
there?
crashed before we recorded, so they're no longer pulled up. Son of a biscuit eater. It's
Spell
spare
That's what you sound
That's
like.
what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I think this is how it is pronounced. Oh, we're gonna hear an ad.
Wow.
Hold, please.
That's a lot.
Okay, I listened to it. Is how it's pronounced. So
Right.
I was not too far
You were
off.
not.
And
not.
That's in Germany. And then Charlottesville, Virginia, Mansfield, Ohio, Umis, Pennsylvania, Hamilton, Louisiana, Almora, Spain. Do you like how I said that?
Almora.
That's not how I said it. Almora. You're gonna, dang it. I practiced that word so much.
You said it very
It sounds
elegant.
like a romantic
You
word.
said it very
Some
elegantly.
guy came up to me and said, Almora.
You'd run off with
I would
him?
be like, okay, bye.
You're like, see you, Ben.
I don't know
I'm
what
out.
you just said, but that's in Spain. So sounds like a beautiful place. San Antonio, Texas, Elviston, Wyoming, and I forgot this one. This is the Netherlands. Do you remember how to pronounce this one? I was saying it a minute ago.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Leper Street. Leper, no. Lepe. Leper Street. Netherlands. So, you guys, I really do try.
I know you do.
I do not mean to be disrespectful. I think it is fun to see where
I don't think people
are downloading us at, because I love people. And so getting to see where we've connected to people, it's really fun for me. And so if I mispronunciate your city or your country, it is definitely not done out of like any sort of, I'm terrible at reading out loud on the spot. And then when you add in another language, it's not good.
I wouldn't be doing any better.
Okie dokie. So I'm going to tell you about a lady named Gertrude. I would like to know if anyone named Gertrude has actually ever been born not as an old lady already.
Gertrude. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So 70-year-old con woman Gertrude Pruitt.
Gertrude?
What did I say? Now I can't get that out of my head. Gertrude.
Gertrude? What was it?
It's Gertrude.
Gertrude.
You know what I'm trying to say.
I
right?
know. But I'm now trying. Now it's all messed up.
Now it's gone.
It is
Gertrude. Gertrude.
Show me the spelling. I got to see the spelling.
Gretured.
Just show me.
Gertrude.
Gertrude.
Yeah, Gertrude.
Gertrude.
Why does that not sound right? Okay.
Because we're not Robert Stack.
I know everything he says is so eloquent.
He's so good.
So
how did he?
Gertrude Pruitt acted as a sweet old grandmother, but in reality was scamming her clients out of millions of dollars. From 1979 to 1981, she ran a scheme, and Robert comes on and calls her, quote, a crafty granny who ran what appeared to be a flourishing investment business in Beverly Hills, California. He calls her that. Crafty granny.
Crafty granny.
Yeah.
Love it.
So she claimed that her investment opportunities came from her connections that she had from a carpet company and textile industries from the South. So that's the other thing. She's this older woman in Beverly Hills, but she has a Southern accent along with Southern hospitality. Most clients were caught off guard by her Southern charm, and they did not realize that they were being scammed. She treated her clients as like VIPs, every one of them. She sent them out to lunch, made them homemade.
Yep.
Homemade what? Tell me your favorite. If someone said, I'm going to make you a homemade dessert.
Tell you what, it's not. Fruitcake.
Fruitcake. You guys, that is red flag number one. No one wants fruitcake.
Have you actually ever had fruit
Yes,
cake?
I have. So there was a documentary on Netflix a few years ago. I thought you watched it with it, like a scam from a company that sells fruitcakes.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? You could.
Well, it wasn't, the company wasn't a scam.
No,
It was
no,
the
no,
guy
no.
that worked for him.
It was a guy that worked for
wasn't he
the
skimming off the
company,
top?
was skimming off the, like, and a lot. So it's a great documentary. But their biggest thing that they are known for and that they've done for generations now is fruitcakes.
It was a good documentary.
It was a great documentary. You can order their fruitcakes to be delivered. So I thought, okay, this company, people come from, they've sent these cupcakes, these fruitcakes to kings and royalty and famous people. Like, this is the best of the best.
Didn't we order one after we watched this?
We did.
Because,
and they weren't cheap.
Well,
I was like, if I'm going to try a fruitcake, I'm going to get it from a place that this is their bread and butter of their business.
Well, and I remember watching that documentary and feeling bad for the company because they were a very small town.
Large industry or like operation, but it is very ma and pa sort of feel to it. Anyways, it wasn't good.
I don't think I tried it.
I did. And I think I tried it warm. I tried it cold. I tried, like, it just is, but I don't know. It's not my thing. It wasn't good. And
I will say, I think fruitcakes they just get a bad rap. But they probably get a bad rap.
They get a bad rap because they're not good. Yeah.
But Gertrude's were amazing,
supposedly. No, they weren't. People were just nice because she was an old lady and no one's going to say, hey, no, thank you.
I'm sure they were very good.
But she also liked to hire limousines to pick up people, investment or potential investors to bring them to their office building. She'd take them out to the fancy lunches in their limousine.
Have you ever?
You guys, again, if an investment person that's trying to get your business, lunch, normal. Maybe a round of golf if you're into that, normal. But if they start taking you on their yachts, vacations with you, getting you limousines and stuff like that, that might be a red flag that they're trying to say, look over here and not over here.
Have you ever been in a limousine?
Yeah.
You have?
Oh, yeah, several times.
Several times? Mm-hmm. With an investment banker? I've never been in one.
You've never ridden in a limousine?
No.
Yeah,
I don't actually know if I've ever seen the inside of one besides on television.
Oh, I've been in lots of limousines.
Wow, lots, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Douglas County, I'm kind of a big deal.
Wow, baller.
Not really, but so no one in prom, like it was around homecoming, prom, someone always rented a limo.
Nope. Negative.
Maybe we were in different like friend groups in high school.
Clearly. All right. Sorry, I've been distracting us. Keep going.
That's funny that you've never been in a limo.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what I'm getting you for your birthday.
Oh, please don't.
Oh, it's gonna be, and I'm gonna find the most 80s
unupdated
limousine that I can find you.
I actually don't want to be
get after it.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, so we are not interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries. Unfortunately, a lady is interviewed on Unsolved Mysteries that would like to remain anonymous, but we're gonna hear her story.
Yeah,
so she says that she was immediately taken by the charm of Gertrude. Always appeared to be busy. She was at the office working late. Meanwhile, however, though, her weirdo 40-year-old son, Harold.
That's just Harold.
Seemed to be the opposite. Nobody liked this guy. He was unfriendly. Didn't work well with clients, like the opposite of who you'd want in an investment firm. And no one in the office that worked with him or like interacted with him at a business level liked this guy.
But that's why he stayed in the background. He didn't deal with clients.
Maybe because his name was Harold. But so this unidentified female invests ultimately $100,000 into this carpet and textile business. In today's money, $350,000. And she's an older woman. So she's retirement age. So yeah, this lady is investing money probably that she's planning on living on for the remainder. But that's a chunk of change.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I just am super confused of how these investment companies in the 80s worked. And the
I
fact
just don't think that they're like, the investment world now is still like hard to understand, right? You have to really, and we have all the information available to us.
Absolutely.
And it's still hard to like kind of get it. But back then, you even had less access to this information. And like having a diverse portfolio and investment was also a newer thing that people were making money doing. And so I just think it was, I don't even want to say intentional ignorance, but I think you just trusted that this person said that this is what they did.
Well, you got a fruitcake out of it.
You got a fruitcake and a ride in a limousine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I would like to know how these people opened and operated businesses, because to me, you need a business license to do almost anything, but you probably need business license because people lied and scammed and cheated.
I was going to say, we're trying to compare 2025 like business practices with, I mean, technically she was running this in the late 70s.
Yeah.
And it's people like this why there's way more regulations.
Absolutely. So her first realization that something might be wrong was when this lady took a check to the bank and it bounced for insufficient funds. So this lady marches in to Gertrude's investment company and is obviously upset. However, by the time she vacates the building, she's totally calmed down with an explanation that we don't ever get. But just that kind of like, oh, we were late making our deposits, so don't worry about it. Here is a fruitcake. Yes. And let's have lunch later this week to discuss it more.
She calms down because she was given a fruitcake.
What was in this fruitcake?
I'm just
was she
saying.
putting Xanax in these fruitcakes so everyone was just way calm?
If someone had given me a check,
if my check bounces after I gave you $100,000,
that was my money, right? Yeah. And you said, "My bad. Here's a fruitcake." I'd say, "I don't care about your fruitcake.
I'd smash that
fruitcake
into that carpet.
My freaking money."
Yeah.
This story I was blown away when she tells that she says she diffused the situation with a fruitcake.
Her income bracket just might be different than ours, where if a check that
ladies and gentlemen, if your income bracket is different and someone still tries to give you a fruitcake to overcome whatever scam they just did to you, don't accept it.
Do not accept the fruitcake. Yeah.
Still be mad about whatever they did.
By the end of business day, though, however, employees are running around the office building, fielding angry phone calls.
Are you telling me this isn't the only check that bounced?
This is not the only check that has bounced.
That's wild.
So one employee who's interviewed in Unsolved Mysteries, this guy becomes suspicious by the end of the day that something isn't right. So he breaks in. I use that term loosely. He lets himself in the building at like 3 a.m.
I think he worked there, right?
Yes, he was employed there, but he goes in there after business hours.
Okay.
Or as Jim Gaffigan says, after
hours.
And starts rifling through the books. He comes for the receipts, as the young people say today.
Well, he says...
And he gathers like 2 boxes full because he's had family and friends invest in this company as well. He's worked there. He's a paid employee.
Well, he says he was afraid they were going to try to destroy evidence of wrongdoing.
Yeah. And so this guy has the cojones to show up to work the next day. And before he reports them to law enforcement, he goes to Harold and says, listen, I'm going to give you by the end of day to show up with the checks to get these people all good. And Harold says, hey, there's always risk with investments. And he says, no, this is fraud because you told people false information when you got them to invest into the thing. So, however, by the time this is reported to authorities, guess what happens?
Are you going to tell me they are in the wind?
They're gone. Gone.
Well, Harold and Gertrude.
Yeah, Gertrude are gone.
Well, that's rude.
Yeah. So they took their fruitcakes and they left. And everyone said, we don't need the fruitcakes back, but if you've seen these two people, please let us know. All right. You ready for your update?
I am ready for my update.
Captured.
Yeah, they are.
On the night of the broadcast. Thanks again, Unsolved Mysteries. Several viewers contacted the FBI in Sacramento, California. 5 days later, Gertrude was arrested in Bakersfield, California.
She didn't even leave California.
No, she didn't. And
Golly.
she had been working as a live-in housekeeper under the name Martha Gray. On May 29th, 1990, she pleaded guilty on 7 counts of mail fraud and sentenced to 8 years in prison and was released and died October 4th, 1966. That's not correct.
That's amazing.
1996 in San Bernardino, California. Harold was released after serving 4 years in prison and died in 2002.
Wasn't Harold captured earlier? Like in the mid 80s?
Yeah.
Like 85, 86, something like that.
Yeah. So they're both sentenced or captured, sentenced. They served their time. I couldn't find that they really went on to do much more damage. So.
Well, she was just released not too long before she passed away.
Mm-hmm. So there you go. There is your story about
Gertrude.
What did Robert call her again? The Crafty Granny.
Crafty Granny.
Yep.
Gertrude.
Yeah. You know what? You can take your fruitcake and leave.
You know what, Gertrude?
Yeah. We can't start quoting Napoleon Dynamite. We're going to start losing everybody.
No.
Such a good movie.
No, we'll get so many people. That's a great movie. Great movie.
All right. Benjamin.
All right. We're going to change gears here. This one is a little wild here.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We're going to hear the story of murder. October 6th, 1989. Missouri State Bank.
Missouri.
Nope. 8:30 a.m. Worker comes into the bank. She notices there's 2 sets of doors. First outside doors, locked. She goes in. But the next set, unlocked. Suspicious? I think so. She goes in. Vault, wide open.
Whoopsie daisy.
Oh.
As a bank employee, I bet your butt falls out at that point. Just drops. Your butt is gone.
What? You know what? Probably not. It's not your money.
No, but I've learned in businesses like this that it's rarely ever like any ownership falls to the company or to anyone other. It's the regular day-to-day employees that have to take the brunt of this. And the person
the
probably
hourly
first,
workers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thought, oh, sugar plums.
Sugar plums.
Somebody didn't lock up last night.
Crap.
And that's when your butt falls out.
That's when your butt falls out. All right. So come to find out, $70,000 are missing from the vault. And they also find 2 .45 casings on the floor.
But it wasn't just cash missing. What was it?
Coins. Lots of coins. Not all of it, but
yeah, but a majority of it was like valuable coins or something like that.
So police, FBI show up and they're trying to get a hold of the bank manager, Dan Short. Mm-hmm. Can't get a hold of the guy. He won't answer. Phone. So guess what happens? Dan Short, he's a suspect.
Instantly.
Yeah, we find out he's 51. He was living outside, like he was kind of living in the country a little bit outside of this little town here. And they go to his house. He's not there. Nothing too crazy. They can't find anything. So He's a suspect.
Yeah, they're assuming at this point he took the money and split.
He's been the bank president since 1983.
Yeah, he wasn't just a man. He was like president of the bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he'd been the president for a while. They talk about it like he was, he came in. He was a pretty likable guy. Most people in the small town knew him. So, they...
It was a small bank. It was a local bank too. So they did a lot of business with the town people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but October 11th, so 5 days later, Dan Short's body is found in a lake 20 miles away. And this is wild. They pull him out of the lake. He is duct taped and chained.
I don't even want to hear this story again.
People need to hear it.
No.
Because you know it, but everyone that is listening does not know it. He is duct taped and chained to a chair with a cinder block attached to this chair for weight. And they believe, as they do the autopsy, that he was alive when he was thrown into the water. What a terrible way to go. Just awful.
I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there's a new movie out right now where people make wild decisions and they end up under the ocean inside a submarine and there's water everywhere.
What?
The movie we just went and saw in the theaters.
Oh, Mission Impossible?
Yeah, but I don't want to give any spoilers away.
That's not a spoiler. It's just part of the story.
Okay. I hate even the depiction.
Sierra doesn't like underwater stuff.
I don't like underwater stuff. I don't do it. I don't mess with that stuff. I'm having to tell myself to breathe right now, just thinking about the scenes in that movie and any movie where there's actors or actresses in the water.
Mm-hmm.
So as they're telling this story about this man,
you're hyperventilating.
I'm happy. Like I am physically unable to feel like I can breathe. The only saving grace, some tiny bit of solace, is that because of how fragile the chair and stuff was, they at least believe that he might have been so heavily drugged or knocked out that he was unconscious when he was thrown into the
FBI guy says they do believe that he was unconscious when he was thrown in, but he wasn't dead.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but to me, how evil of a person do you have to be that you couldn't put a bullet through this guy's head first? Like, don't murder people first off, right? But second, that's like a very calculated way.
It's a horrible way.
Yes, it's you knew what you were doing.
Well, and this takes time. It takes effort. Mm-hmm. It takes resources. And the fact of
you had to plan and prepare for that.
Yeah,
and it's meant to inflict and cause panic and anxiety and pain and discomfort. So that's not just your run-of-the-mill robbery. This guy was in the way.
So once his body's recovered, clearly he's not a suspect. And
they have to shift gears real quick.
But they also, now this raises a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. Why did they kill him this way? Was it revenge? This is a calculated, clearly malicious way to
malicious and malicious
murder someone. And so they start digging in. Does he have any enemies? Did he deny credit to certain people? Did he upset people? Because they do say when he came in to be the president, the bank was actually not doing well. And so
he was struggling. Yeah.
He ended up turning the bank around. But to do that, he did have to deny credit, deny loans.
This was one of those banks that supported farming and like at-home business industries in that way. And so a lot of these people depended on lines of credit in order to be able to get the crops going for the next year or buy new equipment and keep up with. And so, them denying a loan could mean the end of this potential family's business.
Yeah. So they started looking into that. Nothing really turns up. So they start trying to put a timeline together. They said that he had a guest. They never tell us who, whatever. He had a guest at his house, and they left at 11 o'clock. That's the last time.
He had a lady friend.
We have no idea if it was a lady friend. Could have been a guy friend.
It was a lady friend, or maybe
or just a friend hanging out.
Gentleman caller.
No. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna move on. So that was the last time anyone had really seen him. So they think somewhere between 11 and 1:30 a.m. These guys, and they believe it was a couple people, more than one. They do believe it would have taken more than one person to chain him, tie him to this chair, and
to even lift him over a bridge.
Throw him over.
Yeah, that's not something someone can just strong arm unless your name's Harry. And you played Superman and you are a witcher.
Okay. Anyways, they believe he was kidnapped sometime in that time that they showed up at his house. Whatever they did to get into his house, kidnap him. They said they arrived at the bank around 2 a.m.
So they believe that the murder took place first.
No.
They show up at his house between 11 and 1.
Yes.
And take him to the bank.
The bank.
Okay.
They arrive at the bank at 2 a.m. They said they had spray painted and turned the camera around. There's a camera at the entrance of the bank. And then they went into the vault. He'd opened the vault for him and they stole that $70,000. I guess they said there was $100,000 left elsewhere.
That's the thing, is they only took a small portion of the money.
And that is also why they think he wasn't in on this. Yeah. He wasn't an accomplice that they then killed. Because if that was the case, he would have told them there was way more money in there. But he didn't. And then as they were leaving, they fired 2 shots into the camera.
They fired 2 blasts?
2 blasts into the camera. So kind of weird. And then that's pretty much it. That's all they know. They say, so a trucker had come. This is really weird. They tell us it doesn't actually relate, and he can't tell us exactly how. Like, we don't really know how it all relates, but the only thing they have from any type of witnesses is some trucker had seen not too far from his house or whatever 3 cars coming up to a stop sign. He said he saw them like in tandem, and he passed, and then a little while later, a blue Love, I don't even know what that is, passed him. And
I'm going to guess it was just a local guy, and he's probably like, you leave super early in the morning. And you even said like, there's this car and that car. Like you kind of see the same. Yeah. And this is even a more remote area than what we live. He probably is like, bars have been closed for a while. It's weird to see 3 cars in tandem out driving together.
He said he thought one of the cars, he described it as Dan's car, or close to what Dan's car was.
Okay.
Right. Then another witness had said they saw a van parked on this bridge at around 6 a.m. Mm-hmm. So they think that's possibly a van that had Dan in it and had thrown him overboard. So again, they're like, we don't really know.
Yeah, because the question was the robbery even like potentially just like a red herring for the murder? Was the murder just because they wanted the money? Like it could go a lot of different directions, and they don't really have anything to start a direction, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why was he killed? Who did it? If you have any information.
Who, what, where, when, why.
Yeah. Information. Mm-hmm. Contact.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
For your update? Solved.
Okay.
2 brothers by the name of Shannon and Joseph Agoski.
Agoski?
Agoski. It's AGOF Sky.
Oh, kettle, black. Spelling things for the people, are we now?
Yeah. Agoski. Gofsky. They were arrested and convicted.
Oh, okay.
So there was multiple things that I read several articles on this. So one of the things that was connected to the chair was a chain hoist that was connected to it. The guy had come forward and said, "That's my chain hoist."
I don't know what a chain hoist is. Is it just a chain?
No, it's a. Anyways, doesn't matter. And he said,
"Do you know what a chain hoist is?"
It's just like a pulley thing for a chain. What? Why am I even trying to do this? Because it doesn't matter how I would describe it. You're not gonna know. And anyways.
But to me, that's something that you could be like, "Oh, that's mine. I've been missing it."
Yeah. And he says he'd left it at his house, which was a rental, which, guess what, was being rented by these brothers. And these brothers were young at the time. 18 and 20 at the time.
Boys, what were you doing making terrible choices like that?
Yeah.
I don't know if I have enough of anything in my life that I could identify it. Like, that's my chain hoist. That's my oil drip pan. That is my screwdriver. I mean, do you really think that if someone stole something out of your tool shed in the garage, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, that's my whatchamacallit thingamabobber chain hoist."
I mean, tools are tools. You probably know your tools. I don't know. I don't know. I've never owned a chain hoist, so I don't know if I could be able to identify an exact.
I'm just picturing like a giant carabiner, and I'm like, if my carabiner goes
from
missing,
my understanding, it's like a pulley. You can lift heavy things with it with your chain hoist. Okay, I don't know. I've never owned one, but so some guy had come up. First off, these guys weren't even arrested. It took a couple years.
Okay,
police were onto these guys pretty quickly, but they didn't have enough. Few days, it wasn't too long after the murder, a wad of duct tape was actually found on the banks of the river or the lake there.
Mm-hmm.
They were able to do some forensics on it and matched that duct tape to the duct tape that he was secured to the chair. And they actually pulled multiple prints off of it. And it was a match to one of these brothers.
Okay.
And so there was that. Plus, then, guess what? Boys talk. They had started bragging that they had money in coins.
Oh, yeah.
And started spending money that they shouldn't have because they didn't really have jobs. So
what was their whole point of doing this? Simply to rob the bank?
We don't really know their most. I had read one article that they came from a pretty wealthy family and then something had happened and they didn't have as much money anymore. Mm-hmm. And they wanted some money. Take that for what it is.
We all would like a little of extra monies.
Yeah.
But what you don't do is yeet a guy off a bridge for it.
Yeah.
You get a job.
Why? They also owned a 45 caliber handgun. Okay. At least they knew that they had bought one.
But I mean, the whole point, because they asked the question, was this targeted at the manager? Because the manner, the way he was killed was not just like. That really never comes full out. Okay. First off, these boys never admit to it. They swear they're innocent. So clearly.
Yeah. Anyway, so 92, they were convicted of the robbery and all of that.
Okay.
And get a lot of time for that. It wasn't until 97 that they went to trial for the murder.
Okay.
Because they were charged federally for the robbery.
For the robbery.
And then they were charged by the state for the murder. Let me pull this up. So it was actually Shannon was the only one convicted of Dan's murder.
Interesting.
But they both, for the robbery, they had gotten life sentences.
Okay.
Because it was robbery, kidnapping. There was multiple things. So the state didn't end up retrying Joseph for the murder of Dan because they were already going to be in prison. But here's your kind of wild. Joseph died in prison in 2013. Shannon was actually killed an inmate in 2001. So he gets convicted in 97.
Good night. Okay.
Gets convicted in 97 for Dan's murder. Then kills an inmate in 2001. So they charge him with that, and he gets the death sentence.
Okay.
For that. Well, President Joe Biden commuted his sentence, so he's not on death row anymore. He's still in prison.
He's still in prison, but his death sentence has been overturned.
Has been taken off, and that's just as of recent.
Okay.
So thought I'd share that because that was literally only done.
Yeah, it's
a few months ago.
More updated information. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was right at the end of his presidency when he commuted a bunch of people's stuff.
I think he commuted almost every federal death row except for 2 or something.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly.
Okay. So he made it on that.
So it was solved. These boys pretty much laid a whole breadcrumb, but we do not know exactly why they killed Dan.
Especially in the manner that they did.
And there was not they were
over
kids.
$70,000.
And they were kids.
Yeah.
They were young kids. They were really 18, 19, 20.
That makes me sad.
And there wasn't ties to him and Dan.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And it's just a terrible thing to do to another human being.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
That's crazy.
So, yeah.
All right. Okay, our last little reminder for our housekeeping is right now, if you guys leave a 5-star rating or review on any of the places that you stream your podcast, you can take a screenshot of it and send me a DM on Instagram, unsolvedcouplepod, and Ben and I fill out these cute little thank you cards. I drop them in the mail with some stickers for you, and it's all free of charge. The other thing you can do is if you are part of like a big network on a Facebook or a social media group of somehow that is related to unsolved mysteries or true crime, and you recommend us to your social media group or your book club or whatever it is, take a screenshot of that, send it to me, and I will do the same thing. Drop in a little thank you card with Ben's autograph. He loves signing them. It's his favorite thing to do.
It's my favorite.
And some stickers we'll put in there for you. And then, just make sure you're following us on social media. We're on TikTok, on Instagram as Unsolved Couple Pod. We have a Facebook that's Unsolved Couple Podcast Facebook discussion group. I think it's Unsolved Couple Podcast discussion group on there, where it's still kind of a small community, but I'm hoping that eventually it can be a place we can talk about cases, give updates, share other true crime, just kind of be a place that like-minded true crime nerds like me can talk about things. All unsolved mysteries.
All
True crime, aliens, Bigfoot, you name it, you got it. That's where it'd be a fun place to build a little community to talk about that. And if you have any questions or comments, please email us at unsolvedcouplepodcast@gmail.com.
Are you going to tell people about what we found about Unsolved Mysteries this last week?
Oh,
do you want to talk about that, or do you want to talk about that later?
Let's just do it real quick. And then I think, because we're going to be recording the next episode here shortly, then we can give more information next week. So Ben and I, mostly Ben, has continued to do some more research on all of these missing segments within Unsolved Mysteries. And there's like hundreds of them missing.
Yeah, a lot.
We are trying to figure out a way that we can get access to those, either by transcripts, by watching them, by reading them. We're going to start looking out for DVDs when we go to resale places.
I've already dug in on eBay
and stuff. And we're going to try to access as many of them as we can, because even so far, just as an example, season 1 had how many episodes originally aired?
So season 1 had originally
30?
7 specials.
Yeah.
Which several of them were not hosted by
they were
Robert
guest
Stack.
hosted, by multiple people.
And then I think it had, I'd have to look, but I think it had 28 or 30 episodes.
And then season 2 had how many?
30. But on
the Film Rise.
But the Film Rise, there's only 19.
Yeah.
So
there's
we're
a
missing
lot.
11 episodes.
Just in the first 2 seasons of Unsolved Mysteries.
No, just in season 2.
Season 2.
We're got to be up to closer to 20 plus.
So we're looking into that. our ultimate goal, obviously, is to be able to get some promos and some ads and some stuff like this for our podcast. But we have been talking about eventually when we have a big enough either demand for it or following is to do a Patreon.
I don't
Ben doesn't even really
know.
know what that is. He just sees it on our statement every month, Patreon. But it is a way for creators to be behind a paywall so they can do special things. I guess we're talking about this more now than I expected to. But we're at Unsolved Couple Podcast, there are some things that we are working on and trying to. And actually, along those notes right now, we finally hit enough goals, which I'm just really proud of us. We've hit several goals in streaming, and that's big thanks to the people that are listening to this and supporting this several months well before I expected them to.
So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. And right now, we have finally been invited on where we stream our platform at. There's a support us button. As of right now, I would get the email that someone supported us. And if someone does do that, I'm going to start giving special shout outs to them by name. They can tell us their favorite Unsolved episode. They could share a story from the 90s or anything, and I'll read it on there. As of now, like, if you want to help buy Ben snacks for the podcast or something,
that Sierra will not let me have while I record,
you can get on there, and I think like it's $3 a month or something. So it's nothing like big, but it would help to go a long way if we want to eventually get to where we have video streaming for you guys. We have better mics, better equipment, all of that stuff. And that's all going to come from continuous by downloading, supporting, always for free. If we can get a Patreon up and going. And then if anyone feels that at the very bottom of the show notes, there's a little link that says support us, and you can get on there and do that. Okay.
All right, let's get into the good story.
I'm so excited to talk about this. I know you are.
Sierra claimed this one right off the bat.
Yeah.
And fair, because I got the reincarnation last week.
So I'm going to tell you guys, I'd never heard about this, but there is a monster living in Canada in the lake up in Victoria, Canada. So on the northern side, right above like the Washington area. And his or her name is Ogopogo, which is just like the best name in the world. I love it. Okay. Canadians, good on you. This is great. I love this.
From like a Native American?
It is Native American. Yeah. So, or not Native American. Yeah. I guess it's Northern America. It was, this story dates back to the original tribes that were in that area. Okay. So Ogopogo is the name of a mysterious creature, of a large size, said to have lived in Canada's Lake Okanoga, in the province of British Columbia. The local Indians or Native Americans or whatever, I'm not sure what it's called up in Canada. Do you have any idea?
Native Americans.
Native Americans. Why do I keep thinking Canada is not America? But that's just my American ignorance showing that
North America.
North America, exactly. And I was reading the original translation. I'm not even going to try to pronounce how the native language says the name, but it translates to the word lake demon. But then I was reading on some other websites that that's an incorrect translation because that makes it sound like evil. They did not think of this lake dweller as evil. Okay. And often would sacrifice small animals to appease the creature before they crossed the lake. Today, 300 plus years later, many locals still believe that this monster is real. The creature has been seen and reported on tons and tons and tons of times. There's hundreds of sightings of Ogopogo reported every year, but there hasn't been any film footage captured until 1968. When Art and his wife were driving next to the lake, they noticed something strange in the water, pulled over, got their video cameras out, and filmed what appeared to be a dark object diving and reappearing from shallow water into deeper water. The dark mass in Art's film is estimated to be 40 feet long. In 1980, a group of vacationers were also observed something that they saw, which they assumed was Ogopogo.
Oh, what's this lake's name?
Okanagan. Okay. Anagan.
Okay.
Okay.
Continue.
A guy named Larry had...
Larry.
That's an inside joke for another day. Had a movie camera that he filmed. I was watching this with my kids, and the movie cameras, they were so confused as to what these people were holding when they were recording things, because the video cameras from the 80s look very different than phones that we use to record today. That was fun trying to explain to them what that was. Had a home movie camera and filmed what he saw. The footage was later examined by an Ogopogo author and researcher. To her, Larry's footage revealed intriguing details. She said, Larry's film shows that the animal swims. It shows that the speed and the masses of the waves that it creates actually shows it has some sort of appendage that seems to pop up every now and then. But interestingly, the thing that the animal in Art's shot is that, and in Larry's shot, are basically the same size. They appear to be very large creatures. In Larry's film, we're seeing a creature, again, that is at least 40 to 60 feet from head to tail. Ben, come on, let's hear it. Let's hear it, Ben.
It is not 40 to 60 feet.
Guys, Ben is the worst to take anywhere with anything that he can be skeptical about. He always is like, nope, instantly. The moment anything is weird or supernatural or anything, he's like, instant knows.
It is not 40 to 60 feet long. It's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
It is 100%.
No, it's not.
Yeah. They did a mathematical equation to figure it out. I saw it on Unsolved Mysteries. I watched the whole thing multiple times.
Okay. I can't wait.
On July 18th, 1989, 78-year-old Clem shows his son Ken where an inlet where he thought he had seen Ogopogo. Ken took his video camera and staked out the area and eventually taped a creature that appeared to be hairless, greenish in color, spotted, and about 15 feet long. They actually believed it was a baby Ogopogo.
It's not a baby Ogopogo.
It is too.
There's not a.
I saw its features as being snake or lizard-like, no fur, no hair. You can see the body thrashing around behind it. It also brought the tail section up out of the water. Dad and I were stunned into silence, he says. He turned to me and said, you know, if that tail hit a man, it could probably kill him. And I agreed. That was our impression. As to size, he appeared to be swimming parallel to the shore and swam right past us, maybe 60 to 70 feet away. Ken's video image made headlines in Time magazine and in many other newspapers. However, there are skeptics of the video that believe that that it's not an actual mystical creature. And that's kind of where Unsolved Mysteries leaves us. Is there a monster living in a lake in Canada?
Okay. We got to go back to this guy's video.
Okie dokie.
Because the scientist guy comes on. And I'll even give the scientist guy, he's not a skeptic of the Ogopogo.
Mm-hmm.
But he does say this is video. Because this guy says he filmed it twice.
Yeah.
He says he came back a few days later and miraculously gets another video of this thing.
Yep.
They show us the video.
It looks just like an Ogopogo.
Nope.
Yes,
the scientist then does a side-by-side of what, Sierra? You have to tell people. Give them the facts. A beaver.
A beaver is not 20
smacking
feet long,
his
though.
tail down. And he puts it side by side.
I don't think it looks anything like it.
I think it looks exactly
no,
like it.
Does
oh
not.
my gosh. It
Benjamin,
is
it
identical.
looks so different.
It is identical.
No, it is not.
Yes.
No.
100%.
Nope.
Oh
Absolutely not.
my goodness.
To this day, there is, new videos and pictures of Ogopogo all over the internet and YouTube. There was just a documentary released a year ago about it. I watched it.
Yes.
And you know,
I could do a documentary on anything that I want to do.
Is old Canadians. Canadians don't lie. They are the most truth-telling people.
If you want to believe that this is true, you will. 100%. That video is a beaver.
No, it's a baby Ogopogo.
It is not.
They've also done a bunch of research and found underwater caves in this lake.
No.
Ben, there is a monster in that lake.
No, there's not.
Ogopogo. How? Okay. Riddle me this.
I can't wait.
This is the same thing that I have about Bigfoot and dragons and unicorns and fairies and all of the other things. How is it possible that native people living in different parts of the world at a time where we were not connected with each other have creatures and writings and documentations of similar things?
Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
What I'm saying.
Evidence.
So
Facts.
You're saying that the natives, hundreds of years ago, they all saw this and they got to experience it. But now in 2025,
hundreds of people are experiencing it.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they.
That dude that videoed it was a beaver. 100% was a beaver. And the whole 60s video, come on. You really want to buy a video from the 60s?
Well, I'm not going to believe many videos from the 60s, but I watched multiple documentaries that are from the last 5 years of videos and pictures from this.
All right,
from this lake.
Here's the thing. I will say this about water stuff. I think I've said this before. We do not.
We don't know. We know less about our waters than we know about than the skies.
Absolutely. So I definitely do buy into ocean stuff, that there is stuff very much down there that we don't know anything about.
Mm-hmm.
And it is clearly, but this is a lake, and you're telling me that
this is a massive lake, my love.
Yeah, I just looked. It's 135 miles long.
That's a ginormous lake.
And a couple miles wide not at all of it. It's some little skinny attachment. It's just long, but I think they said, that's why I was looking it up. It is 135 square miles. Oh, it's actually only 84 miles long.
That's still
it's a very big lake.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
I'm just saying, native people, we believe a lot of things that they say. They have oral history. We're always like, oh, yeah, this is all about that. But then the one time they tell us about a water monster, we're like, well, clearly. That's not true. That's the one thing that's not true.
I'm not buying that in a 135 square mile lake, there's a 60-foot creature living in that.
Well, maybe not anymore. Maybe due to climate change, it's smaller now. Maybe it lives in the caves. Here's the thing. I'm going to send you a picture. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pull it up while we're doing this, but I found the newest picture that was in the documentary
that someone drew of it.
Yeah. So there was a lady and her friends, and she's an older woman, like probably in her 70s. They go out at kind of the end of boating season to the lake. And they saw something that they thought was a piece of driftwood. And they didn't really pay too much attention to it. They went past it farther away. And then I just sent it to you. And then circled back around a little bit later And they said that they didn't stop. They were going a little past it and they just took a quick picture and didn't even really look at the picture till they got back to the shore. And that's what they saw. That, my dude, is a mother fried chicken sea monster.
That, my dude, looks 100% fake.
No, it doesn't. That looks like...
That looks fake if I've ever seen one.
No, that is a monster.
Life. Yeah, it definitely does look like a monster. It
You
looks
said-
like a
okay.
monster because it looks fake.
Okay. You're going to agree that the picture, you can say it's fake. I'm going to say it's real. But
Yes.
if you saw that in the water, what would you do?
I would definitely want to take a closer look at that and see what it is. It looks clearly the way it looks. It looks like the head of a dragon.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like Pete's dragon in real life.
Yes, it looks like Pete's dragon.
Yeah. I know. It
But
just
it
looks like
looks
it wants to be friends.
Fake.
It does not.
Yes, it does.
She pulled it up on her phone. She's like a little old lady.
Oh, yeah. And no one's ever told a lie on the internet.
Okay, you can watch the documentary. People, let us know what you think about the Ogopogo. I'm here for it. I want to go visit this place, and I want to take Ben to go visit this place, and I want Ben to see an Ogopogo because I think that's the only way. I think you're even the kind of person, though, that if you saw something like that, by the time you got back to shore, you'd be convinced that it was something else.
Maybe. Here's the thing. I've said this before. I'm willing to buy into it. I'm not sure. It'd be great. There's stuff out there, but I don't know. Maybe I don't. I don't know.
Ben has no magic in his life.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just too negative of an individual.
I think you're just a skeptic, right?
I am very much a skeptic.
Or a cynic, and I'm the optimist, right? That's pretty, but
I am very much a skeptic. I believe that
everyone is honest at first, and I also believe in creatures like this.
And that is, I'll say this. It is unfair because a lot of people will come forth with stuff, and I have been such a skeptic and a negative. I just have a hard time buying into people because I've seen so many people.
At least you can own that you are likely, no matter, unless you saw this thing yourself, this picture, this person could say whatever, you're not going to believe them.
I will believe stuff, but you have to bring facts and that. But unfortunately, when there are a lot of people say, well, I hear it is. And then I don't always believe it because so many other people have said, well, here it is. And they've lied about it.
Sometimes I will say this. I've always wondered now with technology that we have, I think I shared this story before, why people can't get pictures of a decent quality. Like we always have our phones on us, right?
Yeah.
And then the one time that I thought I was experiencing some insane phenomenon of a spaceship in the sky.
It was a Starlink.
It was Starlink, but I could not get my phone open. I got a picture of it. Yeah, we finally did, but it took a while.
Absolutely.
If that had blinked out when we first saw it, there would be no photo evidence of what we saw, right?
Absolutely.
And so that to me is, I will say, it was kind of a weird experience to be like, we figured it out eventually that it was just Starlink. So, but I was like, I know what that feels like now. I'd be like, I'm seeing something that's not supposed to be there. I want to take a picture of it. And like the amount of time it took me to like get my phone up to get it working, my hands were shaking. Like I was convinced we were seeing something insane.
Yeah.
And
then there was a rational reasoning for it.
What?
And then there was a rational answer for it.
Yeah.
And
the rational answer for this is that there's a sea monster.
A 60-foot sea monster.
Well, maybe that was the grandfather, like Ogopogo.
There's just a bunch of Ogopogos, but we don't have any bones at least a whole or any type of evidence.
They live under the ocean.
Not the ocean. It's a lake.
They live in deep caverns inside the lake.
Deep caverns. Okay. All right. Let's move on.
All right. Done. Ben came up with our question. So this is our recap. Now Ben and I are moving on to our little fun question for each other. Ben.
All right.
What is your question?
My question for you. If there's any talent or skill you could just have instantly. And I was you probably the movie Matrix, where they just plug stuff in and they instantly
plug
boot
stuff into your.
Why do you?
Why are you the way that you are?
The movie Matrix. Does it? You know what? Let's even forget about that. Let's not go down that way.
It's in my mind now. That's all I'm thinking about.
Oh, I love you.
Okay. So forget about the movie Matrix.
If you could have a skill or a new talent that you could learn instantly, you didn't have to put the time and effort into learning it and mastering it, but you could just be mastered at it. What would it be?
Oh. Dang it, I want to do so many things. Honestly, it would probably be piano.
Okay.
Piano. Because to me, that opens up so many other like abilities to like learn how to play other instruments or to learn how to sing, like all the other stuff I'd like to be able to do. But to be able just to like sit down, I've been trying to learn to teach myself how to do watercolor painting. And I really enjoy doing it, but I've also enjoyed like learning how. But there are times that I'm like, this is stupid. I paint like a third grader.
Yeah.
Right. And then I get frustrated and I give up for a few weeks and then I'll get back into it. But if I could learn instantly, plugged in somehow, like the Matrix, that makes no sense to me.
What was the
all
last
I
time
kept
you
thinking
watched
was that you would want me to be able to like do cool tricks like they can. Oh, that's another one that would be the way girls fight in action movies. When we were watching, what was that movie we just went and saw?
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible. The girl in that movie is beautiful, and the way she fights is like almost like choreography, like dance.
I think
fight.
It is choreographed.
Choreographed. But it just looks so cool to be able to be a woman and to just be able to raw dog. Just beat the crap out of somebody. Dang it, and I can't choose. I want both. It's the Matrix. I can take the blue or the red pill. I'll just take them both and make a purple pill.
It wasn't the pill. In the movie, they're trying to teach him all the skills. They teach him like karate,
how to bend over,
whatever, all that. No, I think
how to wear sunglasses inside.
Yeah, that. And they just plug it in and it's instantly
plug it in like what? Like a USB cord?
Don't you remember in the movie they get plugged in the back of the head?
I don't remember. I don't think I've seen this movie.
That's why I gave up on trying to explain this.
I don't think I've seen it.
You haven't seen that movie?
I don't know.
I don't even know why we're talking about that. But
yeah, so I picked two skills. I pick to be able to fight like the girls in all of the action movies. I want all of those skills.
All the movies. All those skills.
And they do it while also looking hot too. Okay. We're not talking like bloody, beat up, swollen MMA girls. That's awesome. But I don't want to fight like that. I want to fight in stilettos and tight dresses.
Well, you always look hot no matter what you wear. So it doesn't matter.
And then I want to also be able to play the piano. Yeah. So I want to be a piano playing assassin.
Okay. All right.
What about you?
Mine would be the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to learn and I've tried to learn. But it takes a lot of time and effort. And you get to that point where you get so frustrated. You're like, I don't want to take the time
I'm an adult and this should not be this hard.
I just want to know how to do it. And I just would take that. So I can play. I grew up playing the drums.
Yeah.
And but I would love to learn the guitar. But it takes time. A lot of time and practice, obviously. I mean, so I just want someone to give me that.
I know that I've said this several times before, but if you hear a weird noise in the background,
it's the cat snoring.
Yeah. He is out and he snores so loud. But just guitar? You don't have any other ones?
No, that's the only one I can think of that I would just want to. No.
All right. Well, that is our episode. Ben and I will be back here again with you next week when we recap another episode of
Unsolved Mysteries.
Bye.